As I sit here, surrounded by the memories of a lifetime, I'm reminded of the countless times I looked into Grandma Aurora's eyes and felt like I was gazing into an open book. Her blue eyes, sparkling like a summer sky on a cloudless day, seemed to hold a wisdom that was both calming and intimidating. Her hugs, warm and gentle, could heal any pain, mend any heartache. She was the epitome of love, wisdom, and joy. But, as I stand at the threshold of sharing her story, I'm about to reveal a truth that shatters my perception of her as that open book. The day she passed away, our family was engulfed in a sea of sorrow. I remember walking into her room, feeling the weight of grief settle heavy on my chest. The room was filled with the scent of fresh flowers and the soft hum of memories. As I approached her bedside, I noticed an old wooden box on her nightstand, one that I had never seen before. It was as if it had appeared out of nowhere, silently guarding its secrets. With trembling hands, I opened the box, and that's when I saw it, a worn leather diary, its pages yellowed with age, emitting a whisper of forgotten stories. As I carefully picked it up, a shiver ran down my spine. This was no ordinary diary. The cover was embossed with a single, elegant rose, and the pages within were filled with handwritten notes, ink faded but still legible. It was as if Grandma Aurora had been waiting for me to find this, to unravel the threads of her life that she had so meticulously woven. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. I thought I knew her, but this diary promised to reveal a different story, one of secrets, forbidden love, and perhaps even a lost treasure that spanned generations. The weight of this discovery settled upon me as I delicately opened the diary, releasing the scent of old paper and forgotten memories into the air. The first entry I read transported me to a time I had only heard about in whispers, a time of turmoil, love, and sacrifice. It was then that I understood the true depth of Grandma Aurora's life, a life I had admired but never truly comprehended. As I began to read, the room around me melted away, leaving only the echoes of the past. The creaking of the old wooden floorboards beneath my feet, the soft ticking of the clock on the wall, and the distant hum of the city outside seemed to fade into the background. I was no longer in the present, I was in Grandma Aurora's world, a world of love, loss, and longing. The more I read, the more I realized that Grandma Aurora's life was a tapestry woven with threads of courage, resilience, and an enduring love that defied the conventions of her time. Her story is one of a forbidden truth, a truth that she kept hidden for decades, not out of shame, but out of love and a desire to protect those she cherished. As I invite you to join me on this journey into the heart of Grandma Aurora's hidden diary, I warn you, the revelations within these worn pages will challenge everything you thought you knew about family, love, and the power of the human spirit. But it's a journey worth taking, for within these stories lies a universal truth, that love, in its purest form, is the most powerful force of all, capable of transcending time, trials, and even death itself. The pages of this diary are not just a testament to Grandma Aurora's life, they are a bridge connecting us to a past that continues to shape our present. With each turn of the page, you'll be drawn into a world of historical turmoil and personal struggle, but also of hope, love, and the unbreakable bonds that tie families together across generations. So, let's begin this journey together, with an open heart and a willingness to uncover the secrets that Grandma Aurora kept hidden for so long. For in her story, we'll find not just a family's history, but a reflection of our own, a testament to the enduring power of love and the human spirit. In the silence that follows, I hear Grandma Aurora's voice, whispering words of wisdom and love. It's a voice that has guided me through the joys and challenges of life, and one that I'm honored to share with you now. As we embark on this journey, I invite you to listen closely, for within these stories, you'll find pieces of yourself, your family, and the universal longing for connection and understanding. The story of Grandma Aurora's hidden diary is more than a tale of the past, it's a bridge to our collective humanity, a reminder that, despite the trials we face, love remains the beacon that guides us through the darkest of times. And as we step into the world of her diary, I encourage you to embrace the emotions, the revelations, and the lessons that await us, for in doing so, we'll discover that the truth, no matter how forbidden, is always worth uncovering. In the late 1930s, Willow Creek was a small, quiet, and seemingly untouched rural town, where the air was sweet with the scent of blooming wildflowers and the earthy smell of freshly tilled soil. It was a place where time stood still, where the rhythms of nature dictated the pace of life. Mornings began before dawn, with the sky transforming into a canvas of pinks, oranges, and purples, signaling the start of another day. The sound of birds chirping and the distant rumble of a tractor breaking the silence marked the beginning of daily routines. In a modest farmhouse on the outskirts of town, surrounded by a garden that burst with color and life, lived the young Aurora. She was a dreamer, with eyes that sparkled like the stars on a clear night and a heart full of wonder. Her love for reading was unmatched. She devoured books of all kinds, from classics to adventure tales, finding solace in the pages of a well-worn novel. Under the shade of a sprawling oak tree, Aurora would often sit, lost in the worlds created by words, on a weathered bench that had been her grandfather's favorite spot. Aurora's family was the epitome of hard work and dedication. Her parents, Samuel and Emma, worked tirelessly from dawn till dusk, coaxing life from the land. Her older brother, Thomas harbored dreams of flying high above the clouds, of being an aviator, and spent hours poring over aviation manuals and sketching planes. Then there was Lily, her younger sister, who saw the world through the lens of a poet, finding beauty in the simplest of things, a dewdrop on a spider's web, the first light of dawn, or the sound of rain on the roof. The family dynamics were simple yet rich in love and laughter. Evenings were spent gathered around the radio, listening to music or news, with each member sharing stories of their day. The warmth of the fireplace and the smell of homemade meals wafting from the kitchen were constants in their lives. Despite the simplicity of their existence, there was a deep-seated contentment that permeated every aspect of their daily lives. However, as serene as life in Willow Creek seemed, a subtle restlessness stirred within Aurora. It was a gentle whisper of discontentment, a yearning for something more than the familiar rhythms of her small town. She couldn't quite articulate it, but the stories she read, the dreams she had, and the vast expanse of the world beyond the hills that surrounded Willow Creek, all hinted at a broader universe waiting to be explored. As the seasons changed, and with each passing year, experience layered upon experience, Aurora's sense of wonder and curiosity about the world beyond her immediate surroundings grew. The peace of Willow Creek, while comforting, began to feel a little confining, a gentle stirring that suggested there was more to life than the predictable cycles of farm and town. In the evenings, as they sat under the starry sky, stars beginning to twinkle like diamonds scattered across the velvet expanse, Aurora would feel this pull, this inexplicable sense of longing. It wasn't a dissatisfaction with her life but a deep-seated curiosity about what lay beyond the familiar contours of her world. Little did she know, this quiet, unassuming town, and her life within it were on the cusp of change, in ways that would test the strength of her family, her heart. As the summer of 1939 waned, in Willow Creek, the warmth of the sun on skin and the sweet scent of ripe corn seemed to lull the town into a false sense of security. News of a war brewing in Europe trickled in, through radio broadcasts and newspaper headlines that spoke of a place called Poland, and a man named Hitler. The words were distant, the concepts foggy, but the unease they brought was palpable. In the evenings, as dusk fell early, casting long shadows across the fields and homes, ovings of worry began to surface. In the homes of Willow Creek, families gathered around the radio, their faces lit only by the soft glow of the dial, listening to news that seemed to grow more ominous by the day. The air was thick with the smell of wood smoke and damp earth as people huddled closer, concern etched on their faces. Aurora's family was no exception. Her father, Samuel, his brow furrowed in concern, listened intently, his hands paused mid-air as if time itself had been stopped by the words pouring from the radio. Her mother, Emma, sewed quietly, her needle moving with precision, but her eyes betrayed her worry. Thomas, ever the adventurer, seemed exhilarated by the prospect of war, talking of enlisting and heroics with a fervor that made Lily roll her eyes. Aurora, meanwhile, found herself lost in thought, her mind a jumble of emotions. She had always believed the world to be a just and beautiful place, reality and fiction intertwined in her love of books. But now, the encroachment of war threatened to shatter that vision. The days turned into weeks, news of Nazi aggression and the threat of war deepened its roots into the community. Aurora began to see the world through different eyes that noticed the fear creeping into her parents' voices, the late nights her father spent poring over newspapers and maps, the anxious glances exchanged between neighbors. The peace she had known was fragile, and the realization both frightened and intrigued her. It was on one of these anxious evenings, as dusk wrapped itself around Willow Creek like a shroud, that a stranger arrived. He came on foot, his boots heavy with the dust of travel, his military uniform a stark contrast to the overalls and sundresses common in town. There was something about him that seemed out of place, a sense of purpose that didn't quite align with the relaxed posture of the townsfolk. As he walked down the main street, the locals couldn't help but notice him. Some whispered, pointing from behind hands, while others simply stared. Aurora, doing her evening chores, caught sight of him first. There was something in the way he moved, with a quiet confidence that bordered on arrogance, but also a weariness that spoke of untold stories. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to pause. He smiled, a fleeting, enigmatic smile, and Aurora felt a jolt run through her. It was as if she had been touched by a spark of electricity on a summer's day. The stranger continued down the street, his eyes never leaving hers for a moment, until he nodded and turned into the local diner. The door swung shut behind him, with a soft whoosh, leaving Aurora with a sense of wonder, and a dash of fear. Who was this man, and why did she feel as though her life was about to take a turn she could hardly imagine? The diner's neon sign flickered to life as night descended, casting a gaudy glow over the quiet street. Inside, the stranger sat at the counter, a cup of black coffee in front of him. His eyes, a piercing blue, seemed to hold 1,000 stories, stories he kept hidden behind a mask of calm. The waitress, a friendly woman named Ruth, asked him about his travels, but he replied with a silence that was both polite and impenetrable. Aurora couldn't shake the feeling that her life was on the cusp of change. The war, with its distant rumbles and unclear threats, seemed to be approaching, like a storm on the horizon. And then, there was Elias, the mysterious stranger, whose presence seemed to carry with it a whisper of danger, and perhaps, a glimmer of hope. The evening air was alive with crickets and the occasional bark of a dog, but Aurora's heart beat to a different rhythm, one that was quickening with anticipation and fear. She knew not that this chance encounter would weave itself into the fabric of her life, irreversible, drawing her into a world where love and war were perilously intertwined. And as she lay in bed that night, her diary lay open, on her lap, though she wrote not a word. The pages remained blank, her mind a jumble of thoughts, her heart racing with the promise of the unknown. As the days turned into weeks, the secret meetings between Aurora and Elias became a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the darkening landscape of Willow Creek. They would steal away to the old barn on the outskirts of town, its rustic beams and hayloft a sanctuary from the prying eyes of the community. The sun's descent into the horizon cast a warm orange glow through the barn's windows, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the air. Their whispers, laced with laughter and longing, mingled with the scent of hay and the soft rustle of the wind through the cornfields. In these stolen moments, Elias revealed fragments of his past, of a life left behind in Germany. Aurora listened, entranced, as the shadows of war deepened around them. His eyes, like the darkest, most mysterious corners of the forest, held a depth she couldn't quite fathom. Yet, with each passing moment, she felt the barriers between them crumbling, their bond strengthening like the threads of a well-woven fabric. It was on one of these evenings, as they sat together on a bale of hay, that Elias's expression turned somber. He reached into his pocket and produced a small, intricately carved wooden box. "Aurora, I must tell you the truth about who I am and why I'm here," he said, his voice low and urgent. "I'm not just a traveler, I'm a scientist, a deserter from the German army. I was working on a project, a device capable of encoding and decoding messages, making it nearly impossible for the enemy to intercept them. But I couldn't in good conscience continue. I had to escape, to find a way to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands." Aurora's heart skipped a beat as she took in the weight of his words. The device, Elias explained, was hidden, and he believed it was in Willow Creek. A cryptic map, etched on a piece of parchment, hinted at its location. As Elias unfolded the parchment, his hands brushed against hers, sending a shiver down her spine. Together, they pored over the map, the symbols and markings weaving a mystery that only they could unravel. The air seemed to thicken around them, heavy with an unspoken understanding. Their love had become a flame, burning bright and true, but also perilous in a world torn apart by conflict. The diary, now Aurora's constant companion, captured her thoughts, her fears, and her blossoming feelings for Elias. Its pages became a sanctuary, a place where she could be honest about the turmoil within. As the nights grew darker, and the days colder, the presence of strangers in town became more frequent. They wore the guise of civilians but carried an air of suspicion, their eyes lingering on Aurora and Elias with an intensity that made her skin prickle. The once peaceful streets of Willow Creek now felt like a trap, every corner hiding a potential threat. Elias's mission had become urgent. He needed Aurora's help to find the device before it fell into enemy hands. And so, under the cover of night, they embarked on a perilous journey, navigating the hidden passages beneath the old church. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay as they made their way deeper into the labyrinth. Cobwebs clung to their faces, and the flickering light of their lantern cast eerie shadows on the walls. It was there, amidst the ancient stones and forgotten history, that they discovered the device, nestled within a series of intricate clockwork mechanisms. Elias's eyes lit up with a mix of relief and awe. "This is it," he whispered, "the encryption device. My mentor, the clockmaker, must have hidden it here, knowing I would one day need it." Aurora watched, a mixture of fear and admiration on her face, as Elias handled the device with reverence. In that moment, she knew she had crossed a threshold, committing herself to this dangerous path alongside the man she loved. The diary, now filled with entries of their secret meetings, their discoveries, and their fears, became a testament to their bond, a chronicle of love born in the shadow of war. As they made their way back to the surface, the sound of footsteps echoed through the passages, growing louder with each step. Elias's grip on the device tightened, and Aurora's heart raced. They had been found. The rising stakes had become a palpable force, threatening to consume them. Yet, in the face of danger, their love stood as a beacon, a flame that refused to be extinguished. The world above seemed to hold its breath, the very air vibrating with tension. Aurora and Elias emerged from the church, blinking in the bright moonlight, their hands entwined, a silent understanding passing between them. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with peril, but together, they faced it head-on, their love a shield against the encroaching darkness. The diary, now a symbol of their defiance, remained Aurora's secret keeper, a repository of their love story amidst the chaos of war. As I recall the events that shaped my life, my mind wanders back to that fateful day when Elias and I finally stumbled upon the hidden chamber deep within the underground labyrinth. The air was thick with anticipation, heavy with the weight of our discovery. Our hearts pounded in unison as we navigated through the narrow passages, the sound of dripping water echoing off the cold stone walls. The smell of damp earth and mold filled our nostrils, a primal scent that seemed to awaken a sense of urgency within us. We had been searching for what felt like an eternity, following the cryptic map etched on the back of a worn-out book. The clockmaker's puzzle had been a challenge, but our combined efforts had finally paid off. As we turned a corner, a sliver of light illuminated the entrance to the chamber. Elias's eyes locked onto mine, and I could see the excitement and trepidation reflected within them. The room was small, with walls lined with ancient stones. A pedestal stood at its center, upon which rested the artifact, a complex device that seemed to be a mix of clockwork and telegraph machinery. Elias approached it cautiously, his fingers tracing the intricate mechanisms. I watched, mesmerized, as he worked to understand the device's purpose. But our moment of triumph was short-lived. The sound of footsteps, heavy and deliberate, echoed through the passages. Nazi agents, their boots thundering against the stone floor, stormed into the chamber. Elias and I exchanged a panicked glance. We knew we had to act fast. Elias swiftly gathered the device, his hands moving with a practiced urgency. I grabbed his arm, and we sprinted through the winding passages, the agents hot on our heels. The labyrinth seemed to shift and twist around us, its narrow corridors becoming a deadly maze. I drew upon my knowledge of the passages, leading Elias through a series of sharp turns and narrow escapes. The air grew thick with tension as the agents closed in. I could hear their labored breathing, their shouts and curses echoing off the walls. Elias stumbled, his leg buckling beneath him. I caught him, supporting his weight as we pushed forward. In a desperate bid to shake our pursuers, I led Elias through a narrow crevice, the wall scraping against our skin. We emerged into a larger chamber, the sound of rushing water filling the air. A fast-moving stream ran through the center, and without hesitation, Elias pushed me toward it. "Go, Aurora," he shouted above the din. "Take the device. You must get it out of here." I hesitated, torn between staying with him and ensuring the artifact's safety. Elias's eyes locked onto mine, a fierce determination burning within them. As I stepped into the icy water, Elias pushed me from behind. I stumbled forward, the device clutched to my chest. The cold water enveloped me, numbing my senses. I looked back, and that's when I saw Elias standing at the edge of the stream, his eyes locked onto mine. The agents closed in, their guns raised. Elias stood tall, his expression resolute. In that moment, I knew he had decided to make the ultimate sacrifice. The sound of gunfire still echoes in my mind. Elias fell, his body crumpling to the ground. I screamed, the sound muffled by the rushing water. I stumbled forward, my heart shattered into a million pieces. The device, now my sole connection to Elias, felt heavy in my arms. I looked down at it, and tears streamed down my face. I knew I had to escape, to carry on Elias's legacy. The weight of his sacrifice settled upon me, and I steeled myself for the journey ahead. As I emerged from the labyrinth, the sunlight was blinding. I squinted, my eyes adjusting slowly. The world outside seemed different, as if shrouded in a melancholy mist. I took a deep breath, the device clutched tightly to my chest. Elias's final words echoed in my mind, "You must protect it, Aurora. The world needs it." My footsteps, heavy with grief, carried me away from the labyrinth. The sound of the agent's pursuit grew fainter, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the distant hum of the town. I walked, mechanically at first, but with each step, a sense of purpose began to form. The device, now a symbol of Elias's sacrifice, seemed to weigh heavier with each step. I felt a sense of responsibility wash over me, a duty to honor Elias's memory and ensure the artifact's safety. As I disappeared into the trees, the labyrinth's secrets and Elias's sacrifice became etched in my heart. The diary, which I had kept hidden, would become a testament to our love and his ultimate sacrifice. The entries, penned in haste and sorrow, would chronicle our journey, a reminder of the power of love and courage in the face of overwhelming danger. The pain of that day would stay with me forever, but it would also fuel my determination to see the artifact used for the greater good. I knew that I had to find a way to protect it, to ensure its secrets wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. As I walked, the trees seemed to close in around me, their branches tangling above my head. The world narrowed to a single point, the device, Elias's sacrifice, and my mission. I took another step, and another, the weight of my grief slowly transforming into a sense of purpose. In that moment, I became a guardian, a keeper of secrets and a champion of hope. The diary, which I would fill with my story, would become a beacon, illuminating the path for those who came after me. And though Elias was gone, his love and legacy lived on through me, a flame that would burn brightly, guiding me through the darkness. As I emerged from the labyrinth, the rain-soaked night air slapped me awake, a stark contrast to the warmth and love I had just lost. My legs trembled beneath me, I felt like I was walking through a dream, my feet carrying me homeward on autopilot. The world around me seemed muffled, as if the rain had swallowed all sound, leaving only the rhythmic beat of my heart and the patter of raindrops on my skin. I clutched the small, intricately carved device to my chest, its cold metal a painful reminder of Elias's sacrifice. The walk home was a blur, my mind reeling with the events that had just transpired. I couldn't shake the image of Elias, standing tall and defiant, his eyes locked on mine as he pushed me away. The memory of his smile, his laughter, his words of love and encouragement, now taunted me, a bittersweet reminder of what I had lost. I felt like I was drowning in grief, my breath coming in short, ragged gasps. As I stepped into our cozy home, the warm glow of the fireplace and the familiar scent of cooking enveloped me, I felt like a stranger in my own life. My family, oblivious to the turmoil brewing inside me, was gathered in the living room, their faces etched with concern as they noticed my disheveled appearance. I forced a weak smile, trying to reassure them that I was fine, that I had just been out for a walk and gotten caught in the rain. But the truth hung heavy on my tongue, a secret I couldn't share, not yet. The days that followed were a haze of numbness, as I struggled to come to terms with Elias's sacrifice. I went through the motions, helping with chores, attending meals, and engaging in conversations, all the while pretending that everything was as it should be. But inside, I was unraveling, my emotions tangled in a knot of grief, guilt, and responsibility. The device, now a symbol of Elias's ultimate sacrifice, weighed heavily on my mind. I couldn't bear to look at it, but I couldn't bring myself to part with it either. My diary became my sole confidant, the pages filling with tear-stained words, as I poured out my heart, reliving the moments we shared, the laughter, the whispers, and the ultimate goodbye. I wrote of Elias's courage, his conviction, and his love, trying to make sense of it all. The words flowed like a cathartic river, washing away some of the pain, but leaving behind a raw, aching sense of loss. At night, I would steal away to my room, candlelit and solitary, and examine the device, and study Elias's notes. His handwriting, familiar now, seemed to leap off the page, with instructions, diagrams, and cryptic messages. I felt a sense of purpose begin to stir within me. I knew I had to understand the device, fully grasp its significance, and honor Elias's mission. The words "for the greater good" echoed in my mind, kept repeating like a mantra. In those quiet moments, I knew I had to keep his secret, to carry the burden of this knowledge alone, at least for now. The isolation was crushing at times, but I found solace in the silence, in the shadows that danced on my walls as I pored over Elias's notes. My family noticed the change in me, their concerned glances and whispered conversations a constant reminder that I was no longer the same carefree girl. One evening, I found myself at the local library, looking for answers. The dusty tomes and yellowed papers seemed to hold secrets of their own. I devoured books on cryptography and coding, my mind racing with the possibility that I might uncover some clue, some hidden message that would lead me closer to understanding Elias's work. The musty scent of old books and the faint scratch of pen on paper were comforting, a tangible connection to Elias's world. As I read, a sense of resolve began to solidify within me. I knew that I had to see this through. Elias's journey was now mine. I had to bring it to its conclusion, whatever that may be. The grief still lingered, still ached, but I felt a new determination rising, like the first light of dawn after a long, dark night. I knew I had a long road ahead, winding and fraught with danger, but I was no longer alone. I had Elias's legacy, and my own growing strength. The darkness outside seemed to recede, as I found a spark within, that would guide me through the trials to come. As I reflect on the journey of my youth, I am reminded of the countless nights I spent in Willow Creek, the weight of Elias's sacrifice still heavy on my heart. The memories of our secret meetings, the thrill of discovery, and the ache of loss all swirled together in a tumultuous sea of emotions. But I knew I couldn't stay in Willow Creek, not with the Nazi agents still searching for the artifact. I had to leave, to find a new place to hide and to plan my next move. I settled in a modest apartment in a larger city, a place where I could blend into the crowd and start anew. The sounds of the city were a cacophony of car horns, chatter, and wailing sirens, a stark contrast to the peaceful, rural life I once knew. I took on a humble job at a local cafe, where I could observe people without drawing attention to myself. My days were filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, the hiss of steam, and the gentle chatter of patrons. It was a quiet existence, one that allowed me to keep a low profile while I gathered my thoughts. But I knew I couldn't stay hidden forever. I had to learn, to understand the true power of the artifact Elias had given me. I spent hours poring over his diary, studying the cryptic notes and diagrams that seemed to hold the key to unlocking the device's secrets. The library became my sanctuary, a place where I could lose myself in the musty scent of old books and the whispered silence of the reading rooms. I devoured texts on cryptography, coding, and encryption, my mind racing with the possibilities. As I learned, I began to see the artifact in a new light. It was more than just a device, it was a tool for intelligence, capable of deciphering enemy codes and predicting strategic movements. I felt a surge of excitement mixed with trepidation as I realized the weight of my responsibility. I was no longer just a young woman from Willow Creek, I was a guardian of secrets, a keeper of the forbidden truth. My research took me to archives, where I sifted through dusty files and yellowed documents, searching for any mention of the artifact or Elias's work. I met with experts discreetly, using coded language and careful introductions to avoid raising suspicion. The world was a complex web of secrets and lies, and I had to navigate it with caution. As I honed my skills, I began to notice the small things, a suspicious glance, a hesitant step, a whispered conversation in a crowded room. I learned to observe without being seen, to listen without being heard. The city became my classroom, and I was determined to graduate at the top of my class. I recall one particular evening, when I was following a lead on a potential contact who might be able to help me understand the artifact. I tracked him to a small cafe on the outskirts of town, my heart racing with anticipation. As I watched him from across the room, I noticed a man with a scar above his eyebrow, a man who seemed to be watching me. My instincts kicked in, and I melted into the crowd, disappearing into the night. The memory of that close call still sends a shiver down my spine. I knew I had to be more careful, to trust no one and assume that everyone was watching. The weight of my secret life bore down on me, but I refused to let it consume me. Elias's memory drove me forward, his sacrifice a constant reminder of what was at stake. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I began to feel a sense of purpose that I had never known before. I was no longer just a grieving young woman, I was a force to be reckoned with. I had transformed into a resourceful and capable individual, driven by a burning desire to see justice served. The artifact, once a mysterious device, had become an extension of myself. I knew its intricacies, its strengths and weaknesses. I could feel its power coursing through me, guiding me as I navigated the treacherous landscape of war. But with every step forward, I was aware of the danger lurking in the shadows. The Nazi agents were still searching for the artifact, still determined to claim its power for themselves. I knew I had to remain vigilant, to stay one step ahead of those who would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. In the silence of my apartment, surrounded by the trappings of my new life, I would often find myself lost in thought. I would see Elias's face, his eyes sparkling with determination, and I would feel a surge of resolve. I would take a deep breath, the scent of candle wax and old books filling my lungs, and I would begin to plan my next move. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but I was ready. I had become a secret keeper, a guardian of the forbidden truth. And I would see it through, no matter the cost. As the war raged on, Aurora's determination only grew stronger. With the artifact in hand, she began to transmit crucial intelligence to the Allied forces, her actions a quiet yet pivotal rebellion against the Nazi regime. Every coded message, every decoded secret, felt like a blow to the enemy, a testament to Elias's sacrifice and her own resolve. She worked tirelessly, often under the cover of night, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she deciphered and sent vital information that would change the course of battles. The sound of typing, the hum of the radio, and the occasional crackle of static became her world. Aurora's heart pounded with every transmission, her mind racing with the weight of responsibility. She knew that one misstep could mean capture, torture, or worse. Yet, with each successful transmission, a sense of pride and purpose swelled within her. This was her fight, her contribution to the war effort, a continuation of Elias's work. The months passed, and the tides of war began to shift. The Allies, aided by Aurora's intelligence, scored crucial victories. The sound of artillery grew fainter, replaced by the hopeful chatter of people in streets once empty and silent. Aurora watched from afar, her eyes moist with tears as she heard of the liberation of Paris, the push into Germany, and the ultimate surrender. When the war finally ended, Aurora felt a mix of emotions. Relief washed over her, a sense of accomplishment, but also a deep sadness. Elias was not there to share in the victory, to hold her hand as they walked through the ruins of a shattered world. She thought of him every day, wondering what could have been if fate had been kinder. The artifact, once a tool of resistance, now seemed a relic of a bygone era. Aurora decided to place it in a beautiful music box, an elegant wooden chest adorned with intricate carvings of flowers and leaves. As she wound the box and a soft, melancholic tune filled the air, she felt a sense of closure. The music box became a symbol of her journey, a reminder of the love and loss that had shaped her. With the war behind her, Aurora sought a new beginning. She returned to Willow Creek, the small town where her journey had started. The familiar fields and streams welcomed her back, offering a chance to rebuild and rediscover. She dedicated herself to helping others, using her skills to support families affected by the war. Aurora became a teacher, sharing her knowledge of cryptography and coding with a new generation, and a mentor, guiding young women through their own paths of self-discovery. Years passed, and Aurora grew into the wise, loving grandmother the narrator knew. Her eyes sparkled with a deep wisdom, her laughter warm and inviting. She tended a garden filled with flowers, each one telling a story of love, sacrifice, and resilience. The scent of blooming roses and the sound of children's laughter became her daily solace. The narrator, now grown, would sit at her feet, listening to tales of a life lived in the shadows, of secrets kept and revealed. Aurora's stories were woven with a magic that transported her listeners to another time, another world. As she shared her experiences, her eyes would mist, but her voice remained steady, a testament to the strength she had found. One afternoon, as they sat on the porch, watching the sun set behind the hills, the narrator asked about the music box. Aurora's hands trembled slightly as she opened it, revealing the artifact nestled in velvet. She told the story of Elias, of their love, and of the sacrifices made. The narrator listened, entranced, as the pieces of her grandmother's life came together. In that moment, the narrator realized that the seemingly simple life of her grandmother was built upon extraordinary experiences and profound sacrifices. The diary, once a hidden legacy, had become a bridge to the past, a testament to the enduring power of love and courage. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Aurora closed the music box, her eyes locking onto her granddaughter's. In that look, a world of understanding and love passed between them. The years that followed were filled with warmth and purpose. Aurora continued to share her story, inspiring others with her journey from a young woman in love to a guardian of secrets and a beacon of hope. And as she grew older, her legacy lived on, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is always a choice to be made, always a chance to stand for what is right, and always a way to find peace and forgiveness. The music box remained a cherished possession, a symbol of the love that had defined her. Its melody, now familiar, brought back memories of a lifetime of trials, of love, and of the quiet strength that had carried her through. Aurora's story became a testament to the human spirit, a narrative of resilience, love, and the power of hidden legacies to shape the future. As the narrator looked back, she understood that the stories of her grandmother's life, though marked by pain and loss, were ultimately stories of hope, of a love that transcended time and circumstance, and of a woman who had found her place in the world, becoming the wise, loving grandmother she was meant to be. As I sit here, surrounded by the familiar comforts of home, the diary lies open on my lap, its pages whispering secrets of a life I thought I knew. The warm glow of the lamp casts a gentle light on the worn cover, and I feel a sense of peace settle over me, like a soft blanket on a winter's night. The words within these pages have been a journey, a pilgrimage into the heart of my grandmother Aurora, and the realization that her story is one of extraordinary courage, love, and sacrifice. I recall the stories of her childhood, told with such wonder and excitement, of fairies dancing under moonlit skies and heroes battling dragons. At the time, they seemed like simple tales, meant to transport me to fantastical worlds. But now, I understand that they were more than that, they were metaphors for her own life, a life of heroism and silent strength. The fairies were the whispers of her conscience, guiding her through the darkness, and the heroes were the men and women who, like Elias, stood against the tide of hatred and oppression. As I reflect on Aurora's legacy, I realize it's not just the artifact, the device, or her secrets that define her. It's the wisdom shared through her stories, the unconditional love she showered upon our family, and the quiet resilience that carried her through the most turbulent of times. Her life was a tapestry of complex threads, woven with love, loss, and the pursuit of a higher truth. And now, as I hold her diary, I feel the weight of that legacy, the responsibility to carry forward the lessons she's taught me. The more I read, the more I see the parallels between her journey and mine. The struggles she faced, the fears she overcame, and the triumphs she achieved, they all echo within me. I realize that her story is not just a relic of the past but a living, breathing guide for the present. Her experiences continue to inspire and guide me, urging me to find my own strength, to face my own challenges, and to weave my own tale of resilience and hope. In these pages, I found a sense of peace, a deeper understanding of life and courage. The diary has become a personal treasure, a tangible connection to the woman who shaped me into who I am today. As I look back, I see that Aurora's story is one of universal relevance, a testament to the human spirit's capacity for love, forgiveness, and transformation. Her legacy teaches us that our stories, no matter how hidden or silenced, hold the power to inspire, to heal, and to connect us across generations. I've come to understand that we all have our own hidden diaries, our own secret lives, waiting to be uncovered and shared. And it's in sharing these stories, in embracing our complexities and vulnerabilities, that we find true strength and the courage to face whatever life may bring. The scent of old paper and leather wafts up, carrying me back to the moment I first discovered the diary. I glance down, and my eyes fall upon a passage, underlined in faint pencil: "The greatest stories are not those we tell, but those we live." Tears prick at the corners of my eyes as I realize that Aurora's story, her hidden diary, has become mine, a reminder of the power of love, sacrifice, and the enduring legacy of a life well lived. In the silence, I feel Aurora's presence, her love and wisdom enveloping me. I look up, and my gaze meets the familiar contours of our home. The room where I sit, surrounded by memories, seems to expand, filling with the whispers of the past, the laughter of loved ones, and the quiet strength of a woman who lived a life of extraordinary courage. And so, I close this diary, but I know that its story will stay with me, a guiding light on my own journey. I feel a sense of closure, not in the sense that the story has ended, but that it has become a part of me. I integrate it into the fabric of my being. As I look directly at you, now, I want you to know that you, too, can find your own hidden stories, your own diaries waiting to be uncovered. It's in embracing these tales, in all their complexity and beauty, that we find the courage to live, to love, and to pass on the wisdom of our own lives. As I sit here, reflecting on Grandma Aurora's story, I'm reminded of the power of love and sacrifice that defined her life. Her journey, a testament to the human spirit, was marked by resilience, courage, and an unwavering commitment to the truth. From the rolling hills of Willow Creek to the turmoil of war-torn Europe, Aurora's story is one of unexpected discoveries, of hidden legacies, and the enduring power of love. We remember the young Aurora, with her passion for reading and her dreams of a better world. We see her meet Elias, a deserter from the German army, and the way their love blossomed amidst the chaos of war. We witness the sacrifices they made, the secrets they kept, and the legacy they left behind. Through it all, Aurora's story becomes a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is always a way forward. As we close this chapter of Aurora's story, I want to leave you with a powerful message. If her journey has resonated with you, and you found inspiration in her courage, love, and resilience, then I know that her story has fulfilled its purpose. For it's not just a story about one woman's life, it's a reflection of our own experiences, our own struggles, and our own triumphs. As you continue on your own path, I encourage you to reflect on the lessons that Aurora's story imparts. May her love, her sacrifice, and her legacy inspire you to face your own challenges with courage and determination. And as you carry her story with you, I invite you to share it with others, to keep her memory alive, and to inspire a new generation with the power of her spirit. Please, take a moment to pause, reflect on the journey we've shared, and consider the lessons that Aurora's story holds for you. If you've been touched by her story, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel, where we'll continue to share stories of hope, resilience, and the human spirit. Share this video with someone you care about, and let's keep the conversation going. As we conclude this chapter of Aurora's story, I want to leave you with a question. What secret do you think Grandma Aurora held dearest to her heart, one that she may have never shared with anyone, but one that continued to guide her through the trials and tribulations of her life. Please, share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights, your reflections, and your stories are a testament to the power of human connection and the enduring legacy of love and sacrifice. In closing, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey through Grandma Aurora's story. May her love, her legacy, and her story stay with you forever, inspiring you to live, and to cherish the beauty and complexity of the human experience. And as the music swells, and the memories fade, I invite you to hold on to the lessons of Aurora's story.